Today we are discussing two takes from two best Memecoin traders on the marketplace in my opinion, and I will share my opinion on these two takes from my end. First of them is the take from crash on stock market being at local high and us essentially being at the edge of the potential crash of the stock market, which will send all of our Memecoin assets to zero. Second take is essentially people buying into calls currently, and a range of meme coins, only like 10 meme coins from here being the winners for this cycle, and that we should essentially focus all of our capital on 10 winners and just don't care moving further from there. Video packed with alpha. Today is Sunday, so I tend to talk a bit more on Sundays. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's start. Finally back, was sleeping like a baby. So what we do have essentially here is I've popped up the chart of S&P 500, right, and I've outlined the times where we were at the presidential elections. This part of the video is caused from the take from Crash, who pretty much said that we are topping locally on the stock market currently, and we might be entering either 4 to 5 weeks of a correction and then went up, or we might be entering like a stronger and larger correction. The take was also based on the fact that everyone is so bullish during the election year. However, in 3 out of 6 of previous election years, we were essentially going for a huge market dump, like a crisis, after the after the presidential election, which was 2000, 2008, and essentially 2020 we had a COVID situation, but after that we went straight up. What's interesting from this take as well is that he mentioned that usually in general stocks are going a bit lower into the election, and we can definitely see it on the charts as well. People tend to sell stocks in October because of the uncertainty of who will actually be the president, because stock market, certain assets on the stock market, they often follow certain candidates if they win or if they lose essentially. We do have a simple example with energy stocks with Kamala that should be probably going up, and oil stocks with Trump that should be going up instead if he's pushing and if he's winning, in our case, for example, right? So people are de-risking into October only to buy back into November because there is a huge uncertainty on the marketplace, and marketplace hates uncertainty, but I do obviously see this as an opportunity. From my take, from my point of view, we just started our rate cuts at this stage, right? We've just entered rate cutting cycle finally, and it's projected for us to be cutting rate for 8 to 10 months from here. Well, I was talking to some people who are specifically sitting in the stock market, and they were sharing that the overview that they actually expect is for the first part of this election time to be bearish essentially for the first part of 2025, and then once we are entering Fed pause, once they will be done with the rate cuts and they will pause at a certain rate, they would expect a continuation of the bullish scenario out there. So that they're essentially expecting a correction from 6 to 8 months from here, which definitely won't be great for crypto, although I would expect that we are such at a discorrelation between Bitcoin and stock market at this stage. It's just crazy. Not like Bitcoin, but general crypto asset, because Bitcoin wise you might think that yeah, we're close to the all-time highs, but at the same time Bitcoin is not at new all-time highs and stock market is just on new all-time highs on a weekly basis. I do not also feel euphoria at the stock market currently, and this is one of the main criteria for me following the sentiment of this thing, right? I have a bunch of friends who are on the stock market. I was even asking about this, like, do you feel euphoria and things like that? And the response was that when Nvidia initially started to surge up, they felt euphoria. Currently, it's not that much, and it does not feel toppy to me. And I still hear a lot of this talk about recession, and that's essentially going down, and nothing great is happening. So there are some interesting things connected with data at this stage that essentially project soft landing for the economy from here, and at the same time they have 50 base point cuts, right, instead of 25. So it definitely means that they want to speed things up. At the same time, kind of the rate currently is quite high at the current levels as well. So other interesting take is that in the first year of the presidency of the new president, what are they trying to essentially do all the bad stuff in the first year, because they will have 3 years to change the perception of people who would be essentially electing them moving further. However, in our case, we have Trump, who won't be able to re-elect. And we have Kamala, who's kind of like this, I would say, placeholder person. Like 100%, I do think that no one has any illusions behind the point of who's actually running the things out there, right? And with Trump, yeah, he will definitely have some influence. He will definitely be doing some things. With Kamala, Russian president, he was sharing something that he's not even talking to the president of the United States. He's talking to the CIA, right? So things are quite interesting out there. From my point of view, macro-wise, like I don't really care much on 4 to 8 months of potential dump of the stock market at this stage. I care about crypto mostly, right? And what we are in 7 months of consolidation at this stage. And what I like about the current situation is that a bunch of people are still screaming that we should be going up in December and October. In December and November. My take, what I would expect, is for us to surge up in October, violently surge up, and in November and December already being in liquidity creation zone, in distribution zone, which means that larger players, they will be already selling the assets on the people that will be entering, right? This is the overview that I have, because too many people, they're like bullish on November, December. It's such an obvious thing. After election, we do move up. And currently, I honestly quite like the video of crash, and I think it's partially done on purpose, because too many people are bullish on October. And if too many people are bullish on October, this pretty much means that October is actually not happening. And I like that he used his reach to actually create this part of negativity, the part of bearish price action. So some people would essentially close the positions that they have. Some people will become a bit more bearish, which actually increases the chance for the October to happen, right? And I honestly love the situation in the marketplace. Like everyone was screaming about October. I'm the only person who was telling you about 61K in the first week of October, right? And this is exactly something that's happened. I love it. Because all these people about October, like they're not excited anymore, right? And Crash adding into his thing as well. He's saying himself that base case is for us to surge up in November. My take is that we should have a bulk of the movement in October, because no one still expects that. Like, despite all these people screaming to you about October, they're sitting 70-80% in stables currently. They're not in the market. They're not participating. They're not voting with the money. What they will be doing, they will be entering once they will see this violent surge up, right? And they will be taking the part of the move, 100%. It's not like retail. I won't even say that retail would be introduced back into the market, because I do expect, at least at this stage, I do expect for this pump to be a bit short term, because like it's quite hard to say what will be happening in December. It's quite hard to say what will be happening moving further into the year. I would even say that we should be pumping up currently and then have this correction pause in January, pretty much exactly the same how it was in the previous year, right? And closer to the Q2, start the violent continuation of the pump on the market. This is something I'm essentially seeing. Like, this board just looks like a bunch of chemistry formulas, right? From the land of chem, right? So this is the overview that I'm seeing currently. I would expect us to see new all-time highs for BTC in October. I would expect a very, very small amount of players on the marketplace to actually catch that. I actually expect Monday to be bearish. Like, I want Monday to be bearish. I want people to take profits into the Monday. And this is something that I'm seeing currently. I want them to sell, right? And for us to surge somewhere from the middle of the next week and into the end of the month. This is something I see. And coming back to the retail just won't be able to enter into the market back on such a short time frame, right? I would expect retail, as I mentioned on my Twitter and as I mentioned on some videos as well, I would expect retail to come back in Q2 and at the start of Q3 as well. This is something I would be expecting to come back. And that's why I essentially told you that Murad is going to zero, because no retail is coming. What's happening? Murad is going to zero. Easy, right? And they are repositioning the money into other things that are calls and are profits. But I will unveil this hype today as well. 100%. So you would understand what is happening, right? But it will be a bit further. So I won't expect retail to come back in the current pump as well. What it will be the funds of the current market participants and people who maybe like left back in April, and they will be coming back, right? Because surge up should definitely be violent, right? And they will serve as exit liquidity because they would be entering at the end of the pump right here, and they will be entering at the liquidity creation zone with people screaming that, oh, buy currently because we're going higher, because it's just a discount and things like that. But I would expect this liquidity creation zone to be a bit larger, like not just like small liquidity creation zone, but essentially last for a couple of months. And for us to continue to surge up somewhere around the start of the Q2 of the next year, which is March, right? End of March. But honestly, even February, March should be right. So this is the review that I am seeing it currently. And yeah, technically, like BTC wise, I do think that we should be going to the new all-time high this month. So this is essentially my review. This is my take. Let's see how this will be playing out. But yeah, October is definitely an interesting one, and November, December just too obvious. Sometimes obvious things, they are also playing out on this marketplace. Moving to the point number 2. So this is Matthew. This is my best meme coin crypto trader number 2, if you would think. But then with Crash, they have a very, very different type of setup, because Crash is mostly focusing on pushing memes through his audience, through being a dev of the coins that he's in, through the control of supply. So you might not even say that he is like a good trader at this stage, because he does not trade a lot. He pretty much just like a very, very like sniper type of approach out there, right? But things that he was sharing, 100%, very high quality type of understanding of the market, and I would essentially suggest anyone to check it out. Matthew is my second one. And he's essentially a trader. So he specifically trades meme coins in the trenches. He has his own process. And I would say that he's one of the most successful guys out there, one of the great traders out there. And things that we would be talking here is this statement. Basically, top 10 lists will be made from all corners. Web2 SEO blogs, YouTubers, SEO blogs, YouTubers, finance gurus, TikTokers, etc. They will generally all be sharing the same 30 tokens, in my opinion. This will solve the saturation for the ones that make the cut. And the base thing on this is that I reduced long-term strategy to finding the remaining 20 bull run memes that will get a seat on the rocket ship with limited seats. Diversification beyond 20 would only be to increase odds of getting on the ship at the cost of diminished returns. That's the 10,000 feet view. Murad shilling a list is direct proof of this occurring. I think that actually Murad is the reason for this tweet in the first place, and I will explain who Murad is and what is happening currently in the marketplace and why I think all of them are actually wrong. I think the reason people buy into his coins currently is fear. I'm saying about essentially people buying into Murad coins, who is an influencer on Twitter, who's pushing certain meme coins just by showing certain lists and proving some things to people. I will explain everything. And once we risk on again, shitties and better plays will start out perform. Market will recognize upside for larger plays is limited and start to take more risks in expectation of higher upside. Personally, positioning high risk small caps now with good survival chance, or better plays of current runners that should be catching up. So who Murad is? Murad is essentially this guy who was presenting a panel on Token 2049 about essentially meme coins, and he essentially, I think, lured quite a nice amount of people into meme coins. And what his take is essentially the focus on calls, the focus on the fact that you need to buy into calls, that calls are quite nice, and that yeah, this is something that you actually need to do in the first place. So he's generally just sharing the same list of the meme coins, right? Some stats from them, like long-term holders and stuff, in expectation that people would essentially buy into his coins. He got quite successful recently with the SPX coin on Ethereum. I think he shared it at like $10 to $50 million market cap, and it's like 200 million plus currently, and it kind of became like this vortex of liquidity at this stage, and it's quite cultish. So like there are things like the chart does not exist, so if you're a holder of this thing, you're not looking at the chart, you pretty much just buy and just hold. This is something like how things were set up in the previous cycles, right? So from my point of view, what I'm not seeing here like any change to cultish meta. I don't agree with the take that the same 20 meme coins will essentially be shielded and be focused on following further into the market. What I'm seeing here is just hype of one influencer with one theme, one topic, right? And that's why the market is essentially accepting it, and that's why the market is buying into it. And we usually have three types of players, essentially. Left curver, mid curver, and right curver as well. So what's happening is that mid curvers, they're mid curving this thing like cults are stupid, I will not be buying into that. Left curvers, which is essentially a quite like large chunk of the marketplace, they adopted this paradigm that they're saying like buy into calls and things like that, and they're not calls in the first place. Like you don't have people currently in the marketplace who would believe in calls currently. So you still have people that are looking to make money. I would say that calls are not even possible at this stage of the market. Like it's very, very hard for them to appear because you have to have different type of people essentially interested. Or maybe like calls should be present in some Ponzi's with a very, very specific, you need a very, very specific portrait of the holder. Like white trash in the US or like default worker guy. Like calls would only be formed with people that are not like full-time in crypto, right? And there are a bunch of people who are actually full-time in crypto. And what they're looking is just to make money. And they come in with just more and more sophisticated ways to take money from each other. So I would say this is just a part of PvP evolution. This is something that I shared to you with the Mudeng as well. Like there is no retail coming, and this thing is going to zero because it will become irrelevant in 2 to 3 weeks. No one is sharing Mudeng or for these like larger companies currently. It's just you can feel it internally. I can feel it as well. I'm very, very sensitive to energy. You can feel it like there is way less potential on Mudeng at this stage. You just don't care. There is no interest. And right curvers essentially, they do understand that this is all a psyop, and do understand that this is just a new evolution of PvP. So they should probably position themselves until the hype around one influencer, around Murad, will essentially go down, and this take will get diminished. This is the overview that I'm essentially seeing. And you have like projects like Gigachad that's being pushed currently. First of all, I didn't like this thing in the first place because it seems like a bunch of cuckoldry to me. Like you have a bunch of crypto geeks, and you can check out how Murad essentially looks himself, and I would say these are 99% of Giga holders as well. They are not Gigachads, they look like this. So they are crypto geeks who are jerking off to the charts all day, and they're hiding behind this picture of the Russian model guy over Gigachad on the internet, and the supply for this thing is controlled. You can check out, it's a bundled coin in the first place, which is crazy. Like it's just this, it's cuckoldry, next level evolution simp upgrade. I can even make a statement. I would kill 99% of Gigachad holders in 1-to-1 combat. 100%. Because most of them are crypto dorks and crypto geeks hiding behind this thing of Gigachad. Like I don't honestly understand how Gigachad will be pushed further and how it will continue and how retail will buy like Gigachad. Because the difference with retail is that mostly retails and like a lot of retail, they're not simps, some of them, right? They're not crypto geeks. They have families, and a lot of them are cuckolds, right? But like being a cuckold to a picture of a man, it's like gay crypto dork cuckold cult, right? This is the essence of the Gigachad, right? And 100%, like I can sign below my statement as well. I was never doing like martial arts in my life for a prolonged point of time. I'm just fucking big. I still think 99% of Gigachad holders, they're just dying seeing me. 100% right away. So something to support my take. Consensus right now is to invest in cults, but you don't win big in this game by following the ship. Why would you invest in something that has a capped upside? You won't make it by praying for it 2x. All the while, you're missing cook after cook in the trenches. Think about it. So this is essentially the guy who's attracting people as exit liquidity to participate in the trenches, because he's buying coins and he's sharing coins to his followers right after, and he's essentially using them as exit liquidity. On this take, I won't agree currently, right? I think trenches currently is a very, very tough game. Like, usually traders are just taking money from people who are coming as tourists into this space, and I would say that they're quite hard. But I agree with the first part of the take, that consensus right now is to invest into calls. And I was watching after these people quite sooner, right? So I think I first got introduced to the content of Murad and this concept and this is behind calls in July. And this is exactly the same game as with all crypto coins and crypto investing out there. There was a thesis got widely adopted. People who adopted this thesis earlier, they are capitalizing, but it's already too late. If you're entering currently, we're still in a very, very harsh PvP scenario. It's not changing soon 100%. This is just a new evolution, gay cuckoldry evolution at the same time. I would mostly say in the case of Giga, right? And this is just an evolution of this thing. I don't think that like there is upside currently right there to move like this thing higher. And it's interesting that a lot of coins that they were screaming are going to billions. It seems that still people are rotating from them, right? So something like Momo, for example, Momo on Solana. People were screaming in summer that it's going to billions. There were crazy buys coming in, right? Right now, no one fucking cares, it seems. Like it pushed a little bit, right? Maybe just needs a bit more time to consolidate, so more people would essentially understand that like there is a nice upside in this thing. But even this thing, just in July, just in the summer, it was very, very bullish. Like it was a consensus that this thing is going to billions because it's a bull market meme. Now no one cares. Everyone cares about calls because it's new meta of new influencer coming up. It's the same thing as Crash with Bread. It's the same thing with Ansem as Weave. But there is a cap to this thing because instead of Ansem and Crash, this guy is coming up in the type like bear market scenario of the market, in the correction type of the market, right? So once the hype of this influencer will go down, people will stop caring about calls because it's all about the money. Because no one is going to invest in like $500 million market cap coin waiting for 2 to 3x in the current market setup because it's a cult, right? No one is doing that. People are here to make money. We don't have retail. We don't have people who generally don't understand the industry at this stage, right? People who are here currently, they know a thing or two. They won't be investing in this like limited upside thing. I'm still actually thinking that the next meta is Politify, right? And this is something where you should be positioning yourself in. Politify plus, I feel like Ethereum ecosystem might be showing something, just because it's like too down, like it's too down in comparison to what is happening on the marketplace. Summing up the talk for today, there was a tweet that ran from Crypto Banter was sharing that said that in 100 years you won't experience the gains that we are about to experience in upcoming 1 to 2 years. We are working with 525 base points of pure Americano, which pretty much means that we are at the edge of the largest rate cut cycle, because rate were not increased this large as they were increased in COVID in quite some time, right? So we are at the edge of this giant rate cuts cycle. Worst case scenario, we're going into a large recession and they just get dropped instantly, right? But short term, it would be bearish. Mid-term, it would be very fucking bullish. And this is essentially the bet that I'm making, right? Money will become cheaper, people will be looking to outperform, and they will be looking into risk assets. And I'm sitting in shitcoins currently, and I will continue to sit in them. Understanding why certain things on this market go up and why certain things go down. Thank you very much for watching this video. Stay healthy and rich. I'll see you tomorrow.